In my market, I saw order volume dropping recently, and quality orders became less and less frequent. I totaled my week's dash and was getting less than $14 an hour. 90% of the offers I receive aren't worth my time. I don't care that my acceptance rate is sub 10%. I refuse to give away my time and money to take crap orders for DoorDash. Peak pay never happens on DoorDash anymore in my area. Peak pay has all but disappeared. Moreover, the quantity and quality of orders have declined. I haven't done a single gig delivery in months. I've seen my acceptance rate cut in half since 2020. I personally stopped doing DoorDash because of continual lowball offers, and I haven't seen peak pay or bonus pay in about 6 months, except for one day. The pay is the lowest amongst all the delivery apps as of lately. I reject about 75%. 90% I don't accept. 50+% are worthless in my area. You know, as a Dasher myself, I've done this stuff part-time, I've done it full-time, I've done it in different marketplaces. Maybe like you, some of us are starting to wonder, is this whole dashing thing a side hustle? Is it even worth it anymore on this platform? I want to talk to you about that in this video because it seems like more than anyone else, DoorDash is adding new features, new order types, different earnings options, just new categories of stores, retail, alcohol, convenience, and of course, food delivery. But on the other side of the equation, your pay as a Dasher, it doesn't matter what vertical you're delivering on, it comes down to their pay model, which is DoorDash base pay, the company's contribution, promotional pay, and tips. I've said this. I can think about other platforms. I can think about when I first started Shipt. When was that? 2018, whatever it was, 2019. And it was on fire. I was in San Diego, California at the time, making like $40, $45+ a run, like an hour. It was on fire. But the bubble popped on Shipt, and I'm also thinking about Lime scooter charging. You collect a scooter, you get paid, you charge it overnight, you drop it off, and you get like $7, $9 a scooter. So as many as you can fit in your vehicle, you're making really good money for just gathering it, charging it, and then dropping it off the next day. I think about the first side hustles, rideshare, and doing that a good amount of hours when I first started, October of 2015 into 2016. Then here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with crazy surge pay, a literal pay multiplier, 4x, 5x, 12x on New Year's Eve, which is ridiculous and understandably too much money for the customer, even with the supply and demand issues, but the pay was ridiculous. Talking about the bubble bursting, when is the bubble gonna burst for DoorDash Dashers? So that's one camp, like, well, no, DoorDash isn't gonna go away because food delivery is not gonna go away. It's been around for decades, and people just eat like literally X amount of times a week, and they're going to continue to spend money on food delivery, even with respect to, let's say, a tightening or challenging economy. They're still going to spend. But then there's that other camp, like, yeah, maybe someone's going to spend, but the companies that just can't hang in there, Amazon Restaurants, Sidecar with rideshare, these companies that just can't make it work, they're going to go under. Not if, but when. I mean, that's kind of the job, at least in parts, of financial analysts, right? That look at these companies, that sift through quarterly filings, look at the numbers to try to see, is this a company that's going to be here for decades? Should you invest? Is it a successful future business, or is it going to go under eventually, and when, like some of these other companies? Firstly, something for everyone. If you're a new Dasher, an experienced Dasher, or if you're just someone that's considering signing up, there's always going to be, and we're going to see this, I guarantee it, in 2024. Drop a like on this video. Feel free to come back because we're going to see this in 2024. There's always new features, pay models, or pay features and components, and or new order types. It's going to come in 2024 on DoorDash. There's going to be new experimental features like, I don't know, drone delivery. We've already seen it on DoorDash. We're going to see the company continue to spend money to try to get new Dashers, even though you may think your marketplace already has enough drivers. But I've seen, for instance, on TikTok, they're running ad after ad about, hey, drive for DoorDash. A lot of this, as a Dasher, is anecdotal, right? We don't have a ton of evidence. The company's never going to share that with us about, hey, we're at capacity or this market's hurting. We really have kind of a broken collective because Dashers all over the place, the nation, the world, are doing their own things and dashing for different reasons, have different financial goals. Hey man, I'm doing this for a week. I'm doing this for 2 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, or full time. And even the company, while they're spending money to try to get new Dashers, they themselves have said they're sending out over twice as many offers as Dashers are even accepting. So yeah, Dashers are getting enough orders, but they're not getting enough good orders. And the company says Dashers on average are dashing less than 4 hours in an entire week. So most everyone's doing this just as a small part-time gig. So now that we got some context, let me give you some tips here if you're a new Dasher or if you're an experienced Dasher and trying to decide when might this whole dashing thing be over. If you just sign up as a Dasher and DoorDash doesn't give you a trial run, like free access to priority access or the top Dasher program, might not be a good thing because a lot of the times that'll get you access to the highest paying offers per DoorDash are $2+ a mile. If there's no guaranteed pay as well when signing up, and I think that is probably going to be less and less already. So let me know if you just signed up. If they offered you any guaranteed pay, like, hey, for your first 20 deliveries, be guaranteed to make at least $250. If you just signed up and there's no bonus pay, the per delivery bonus, the peak pay they call it, of at least $2 on Fridays and Saturdays from 5:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. That's typically the dinner window that they run for the peak pay. And that's a very clear sign if you're a new Dasher because you really need bonus pay. Anyone, doesn't matter if you're new or experienced in this case, but if you have no peak pay, especially as you're a new Dasher, what are you really walking into? A marketplace that's paying like what? Just base pay plus tips? You're not going to make a ton of money. Okay, experienced Dashers, and like define that as you will. I don't know, 100 plus deliveries, 1,000 plus, whatever here, as long as you have some deliveries under your belt. If your last 1 month trend, I'd say, is trending of less and less peak pay, then might be a concern. So not only that Friday, Saturday, but if you used to get, let's say, the number of days per week. So 4 days in the rolling 7 days, now it's 3 or 2, or obviously worse, 1. And then the amount and frequency of peak pay. So I got peak pay like 4 out of the 7 days. But then I used to get peak pay on breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe twice during a larger window of dinner. So now it's just like, breakfast, when maybe the least amount of Dashers are on the road. It doesn't work for a lot of people because you maybe want to drive after your W-2 job and drive that 5:30 to 9:30 shift, and that peak pay is gone. So a number of days a week, the number of peak pay slots in a day, and then obviously the amount of peak pay. Like, yeah, Fridays and Saturdays, I used to always see like $3, sometimes $4 peak pay. I know a lot of you comment down below, that seems unheard of. Like $4 peak pay, we're lucky to see $1 peak pay. So whatever, let's say you average, sometimes $3 peak pay on the Friday, Saturdays. Now you're seeing like $1 or $2, right? Everything's trending downwards. You can track a lot of that as far as visually seeing trends on our earnings tracking spreadsheet at yourdrivermight.com. So you finish a shift, you punch in your numbers, and a lot of it auto calculates for you, as well as visual charts. So you can actually see how are my numbers here versus like just trying to remember, like I think my numbers are going down. Experienced Dashers, let me ask you, a year or maybe 2 years, if you've been driving that long or whatever, like 3 months ago, right? What was your acceptance rate versus now when you're watching this video? If it's declined by like 30% plus, then you might have a problem. Because keep in mind, depends when you're watching this video. So I'll frame it like this. But the winter into February is the busiest time. So your acceptance rate shouldn't be tanking. Like maybe it's going down a little bit. But if it's tanking, that's probably not a good sign as well, because it could be coupled with, again, lowered peak pay, so lesser overall paying orders. But DoorDash even says the busiest time for customer order frequency is February, and then it slowly drops throughout the year. And number 3 for experienced Dashers, something that I unfortunately think is at least in part already here, is if your marketplace starts to see more and more rewards and priority programs that are acceptance rate based. Because priority access, that's been around for years, but then the newer Dasher rewards program that just had an expansion, I'll leave a card here, you can watch that expansion announcement. But to get access to the highest paying orders, again, $2+ a mile, you have to hit certain acceptance rate thresholds. So you can do it, you can bump it to 50% or 70% for, let's say, priority access, for example, but are you gonna really make money? Right? You're getting access now to the highest paying orders, but you had to accept like 30% of orders that you typically not accept to bump that AR to 50%. Now, here's another thing that I don't think a lot of people really think about. So listen to this, that if you do have priority access to high paying orders or whatever program that gives you access to this, that your wait time for higher paying orders shouldn't decline. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be waiting 5 minutes for one of those blue or however it's denoted, gold tab, whatever, higher paying orders, because you should be like, let's say you're first in line, right? You should be getting those every like minutes, hopefully. So if you see the trend of now it's taking a minute and a half, 3 minutes, 5 minutes for one of these high paying orders to come through, something's happening there. If you are seeing less order volume on restaurants, we might be seeing more of alcohol, convenience, and retail, and shop and deliver as well, and not just food delivery. Now, obviously the pay has to make sense. It's not just like, hey, I'm getting more different kinds of orders, so that's a good thing. Like, it's a good thing. Here's why. Here's my tie-in here. That it's showing the company is building their portfolio. Because in their quarterly calls, I listen to all of those quarterly calls here from Uber and DoorDash. Consider subscribing. Again, drop a like in this video because I do summary videos for you, so you don't have to watch the whole 45-minute call. But they say that some of their new customers first interacting with DoorDash, a good percent, I can't remember the exact percent, but a good percent of them are coming in for the first time on these new verticals. It's not food delivery. Their first interaction with DoorDash is like what? An alcohol delivery or a Target grocery run or a DashMart convenience store run, a CVS, Walgreens, etc. So kind of hopefully we want that to grow as fast as possible. And honestly, we kind of want a supply imbalance there of having too many orders and not enough Dashers, which leads to peak pay. Eventually, and I don't think we've seen this in any app or niche yet, but you would think eventually, what, 10 years, less, 15 years, who knows? There might be an equilibrium where there is never bonus pay again, but it has to be a true equilibrium because drivers and workers, couriers, whatever, aren't going to work on the platform if it doesn't make sense. And then the company's not going to offer it if it's costing them too much money. So it's a very slow kind of experiment to find that equilibrium. Because let me ask you, would you just drive on $1.75 flat and never have to worry about bonus pay or fluctuations? And it's always $1.75. What about $1.50? What about $2? And $2, absolutely. But when would that change, right? Every 8 years, keep up with inflation? So to answer our question, is it the end of dashing in 2024? No, because I think that equilibrium is still very much in the experimentation phase here. And also experimenting with new features, earnings options, bonus pay frequency, and more. So let's do this. Let's finish with this and continue the conversation down below in the comments because yes, thank you. I know this video is long enough. Let me ask you, what are your goals for dashing? Because a lot of us, it's transitory, it's temporary, but then there's another pool that's doing it full time that really feels the week to week and month to month changes. Or is it just like a number goal that you want to hit every month, just do it for 6 months, etc.? Because long term, for those of us, if you're driving a month, 6 months, or even a year, right, and you stop, long term, DoorDash is going to keep doing its thing. DoorDash is continually changing. That's my job here, to follow this stuff and help you make money in different side hustles. So how is it going to be at the end of 2024?